everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you a double challenge all squished into one page. This is an art journal page that we normally have a pick a stick challenge, which is 6 steps plus 2 colors, a couple wild cards if you need them. And then we also have the daily art journaling challenge going on called AJOS Peculiar Persona, which is about making funny characters in your art journal page. So combined both of those challenges into one. I forgot to turn my camera on to start out with, but the first thing I did was paint my page with a terracotta color in that background there, which is one of the colors from the challenge. And then I put a stencil that has kind of a zigzag pattern across it, and I put some gloss gel medium through that stencil just with a sponge. I didn't need texture or anything. I just put a sponge through so that I would be able to resist a water-based product over the top. And the water-based product is a new watercolor palette I got that is watercolors mixed with Japanese sumi ink to make these shadow colors. So that color is shadow pink, which I think pretty much goes with the maroon, which was the other color for our pick a stick challenge in October. So I've got resist, step number 1. I've got the zigzag, which was the stencil, because the second prompt was sweet, and the character for today, day 15, is Anneta Humorous. And I didn't think that a humorous person really is, sweet didn't seem like the right thing, because I think of them more as like people who laugh loudly and tell a lot of jokes and maybe interrupt in class, those type of people. So I didn't think sweet was right. So I switched it to zigzag, and I did that in the background with the resist. So step number 3 was stencil. So I used some light Titan Buff acrylic paint through a Harlequin stencil, and I made some more marks in my background. Now I'm using a Stabilo all water-based pencil and some water to make kind of some shadows over those background shapes. And then I used an off-white Posca pen to make some splatters. And I feel that my background is done for my page. So now I'm going to work on the foreground, the character. Remember, AJOS Peculiar Persona has a prompt challenge that has the idea of making characters. So Anneta Humorous was my character. I did a little quick sketch before the show started. I did this on Art Joy Sharing yesterday, by the way, live. So if you want to go see it, you can go over to an Art Joy of Sharing and watch the recorded live stream, which gives you it in real time rather than the speeded version. I share that channel with Peg Robinson, and we also share our Art Joy of Sharing art community on Facebook, and they go together. So over the top of my sketch, which was just done on printer paper, I went over it with some pastel ground, and that is like an acrylic medium with kind of like a sandy texture to help you when you use soft pastels. Because the next step is pastel, I decided to use soft pastels. You could use oil pastels, you could use pan pastels, you could use water-soluble pastels, a lot of options. You could use a pastel color as that option. The thing about Pick a Stick Challenge is a one-word prompt. You can make it whatever you want, whatever you decide that word means. So for me today, I used soft pastels. So these are the Arteza set of soft pastels, and I am coloring my sketch. Now, what is my sketch? Well, the other day I was looking for something to make me laugh because I was in a bad mood, and I stumbled across all these videos of these donkeys, and they were laughing. Well, they were braying, which sounds like kind of like really hard laughing, and they make the goofiest faces. They open up their mouth, and you can see all their teeth. They, sometimes their jaw goes back and forth. And so this is a sketch of a donkey being silly, being funny, which I thought was appropriate for Anneta Humorous, which is our prompt for today. Donkeys are pretty humorous, especially when they start in with their loud, funny laughing like that. It makes me giggle, and I went down the rabbit hole of watching several videos because, when you're in a bad mood, watch puppies or kittens or donkeys or fainting goats. They're hilarious, fainting goats. Um, it'll lift up your spirits a little bit. So I am coloring this with soft pastels. They're not my favorite. I started out blending with a brush, but it was brushing too much of it off. The reason that you put that pastel ground on there is so that it has some texture to allow this basically chalk, powdery chalk, to get down into texture. There is pastel paper you can use, but since I was planning on collaging this into my art journal, I just wanted a thin paper. I didn't want, some heavy paper. So, yeah, they're dusty, but it's a quick way to color. I tell you what, you can color really quick with these things. They get the color on there quickly. And depending on the level of quality of the soft pastels you have, some of them are really highly pigmented, some of them less. This is probably more of a student grade set maybe, but hey, it's fun. I'm using different shades of grays, a little bit of white, some black, and then a couple different colors of kind of pinkish reddish, light red, to color in my illustration. The donkey's mouth is open. He's got teeth, straggly teeth with a little bit of yellow on them. Um, pretty funny character. So then, it's actually a girl character. I did want to seal it, however, and the thing about sealing pastels is they do get darker. Also, I'm sealing with clear gesso, and I'm using a brayer, and I only want to go one pass because, as you can see, as that gesso is going across, it's picking up some of that powder and moving it around. But I knew it was going to be cut out, so once that was dry, I dried it with the heat tool. I cut it out, and now I'm gluing it down over my background. Now this, if there was ever mixed media, this is mixed media. I've got acrylic paint, acrylic gloss medium, watercolor over the top, more acrylic paint, water soluble pencil. Then I'm gluing on this piece that has soft pastels on it and clear gesso. I'm using a glue stick. I mean, every kind of media you could possibly think of is going on here. I know people sometimes freak out when you use water soluble media along with acrylics and things because they think it's not permanent. If you recall, this is going to go in my art journal. It was already in my art journal. Page is going to shut. It's rarely going to be opened, so I'm not super worried about sealing that background. If I was, you can still use water-soluble media on mixed media, even on a canvas, but you would need to probably seal this. And if I was worried about that, I would have taken it outside and sprayed it with a clear acrylic sealer to seal in that watercolor in the background, probably before I put on. Well, I probably would have done it in between after I put the diamonds and then the water-soluble pencil on there. I would have sealed it, then glued on my piece over the top, and then at the end probably sealed it again. So, there's even workable fixatives you can use. I just tend to use clear acrylic as a fixative myself, which is an outside process. You got to take it outside and do it because it's stinky. You don't want to do it inside your studio. So now I have some Prismacolor pencils. These are, pencils, colored pencils. And I'm drawing on some mane onto my donkey. They have a short, stiff mane. And then some like wild hairs coming off here and there. Clarifying a little bit if some of the pastel when I was sealing it, it got maybe a little bit muddy, bringing back some of the whites and things, and just adding more details. I did not want to cut around a mane, so the mane is going to come in after I put it on the page because cutting around something like that is annoying. I also got out a white acrylic pen and just added a few details with that as well. This is a Posca pen, just highlights basically. And I think that my little donkey girl's pretty funny, pretty humorous. So that took care of the step pastel. The next step was mask. And mask can mean a type of stencil where it masks out a part of the background and then you go over the top, which is generally the way I would think of mask. But also, it's October, it's getting close to Halloween, and I was thinking about an actual mask. So I decided to draw kind of like a, what would you call this kind of mask? Like for a masquerade ball. It's not covering the entire face, just covers the over the eyes enough to change. Maybe you won't see who the person is. That type of mask, a masquerade mask. So I put that on. It's just a scrap of painty paper with some stencil on it and a couple different colors. I wanted to use the blue because it's the opposing color, or coordinating color to orange, and the background's really kind of orange and red colors, terracotta and maroon. So I thought that blue would be a good opposite. You know, it would really stand out. So I glued that on, cut it out, glued it on, using a Stabilo All pencil to do a little bit of shading around the mask, around a little bit around the donkey, blending that with a water tank brush, like you do, and just blending in my stuck on, collaged on piece into the background. Then I have a sticker pack. This is the Snarky sticker pack, and I put on the words, "I'm glad we share a sense of humor and an understanding that I'm slightly funnier." I think that's something Anneta Humorous would say. She's a little bit obnoxious, pretty funny person though. Donkey. Character, whatever you want to say. So then the final step was texture. I already have quite a bit of texture on this already, but need to add some more texture. So I decided to bling up the mask. Since it's a masquerade type mask, it might have some sequins on it. So I'm using some Judican's Diamond Glaze as glue, and I'm putting on these iridescent clear sequins, which add a lot of sparkle. And I'm going all the way around the mask to make it all shiny and fun. I think that that's all I did for this page. I'm sorry that the very beginning part was cut off, but I think you all know how to paint. You all know how to stencil some gloss medium, and you all know, that that's going to create a resist with some water-soluble media. So I think you know how to do that already. If you've enjoyed this video or are enjoying this series of videos, I'm making a video every day in the month of October 21 to do this peculiar persona challenge, making all these funny characters. If you're enjoying them, give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment or question below. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you haven't turned on your notification bells yet, do that. That helps the YouTube algorithm recommend my channel to other people who might be interested in the same things that you are if you're watching this video. So that is it for me for the Pick a Stick Challenge for October, combined with hashtag AJOS Peculiar Persona. If you want to see more people's pages, there's a lot of people participating in this challenge. You can just use that hashtag and you will come up with lots of fun characters that people have made in their art journals. That's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.